Think that motherhood can be difficult enough, but when
Yes.
you add in stuff and disorganization and clutter, and it piles up physically, but it can also pile up and create some emotional clutter as well. You're a homeschool mom yourself, and you've homeschooled for years. What were some challenges that you began noticing with the environment of your home and homeschooling and motherhood, and just kind of keeping those things in order?
The biggest thing for me, the biggest change I made when I had 3 of them home. So that's when it really needs to be. Right now I just have 1 homeschooling, but 3 was like how, there's just piles of school books, right? We all get excited. We want to buy the cool workbooks and the different curriculums, but how am I going to best use this instead of it just piling up on a table or in a bookshelf?
Mandy has really impressed me with her knowledge of health coaching, but she has an amazing ability that we're hoping to tap into today. And that ability is organizing. Welcome to the Discover Health podcast, where we explore the power of gut health, nutrition, and lifestyle to help you feel your best every day. I'm Dr. Josh Sharp, your guide on this journey to better digestion, more energy, and overall well-being. Each week, we'll dive into expert insights, practical tips, and real-life strategies to help you discover health. Ready to start discovering? Let's hit the trail. Welcome back to another episode of Discover Health Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Joshua Sharp, and joining me today is a new friend and a special guest, Mandy Alarcon. Thank you for joining me, Mandy.
Aw, thank you for having me.
So, Mandy has really impressed me with her knowledge of health coaching, but she has an amazing ability that we're hoping to tap into today. And that ability is organizing, not just organizing herself, but she's really good at helping others get organized. And she has a unique passion to help others get organized. And so I'm hoping to tap into that special ability, especially now as we move into this time. When this podcast comes out, it's going to be after the holidays, because I feel like it's such a valuable thing for so many people, and they don't realize how valuable it is. But before we jump into that, Mandy, I wanted to ask you your story. What led you into the world of home organization and helping other people? Why has this become such a passion for you?
Yes, I have always lived a more minimalistic life. So, from a young person or a teenager, young adult. And so it always resonated with me for whatever reason. I think I noticed the correlation of stress probably sooner, or maybe I just enjoyed it. But having children, as soon as you start that first kid, you want to have, there's so much that comes along with having children, so much stuff. And so I realized very quickly that the stuff can overrun if you don't, have systems and things in place to, you know, make motherhood a little bit smoother for you and your children.
Yeah, I think that motherhood can be difficult enough, but when you add in stuff and disorganization and clutter, and just all these things, it it piles up physically, but it can also pile up and create some emotional clutter, I feel like, as well. You're a homeschool mom yourself, and you've homeschooled for years. What were some challenges that you began noticing with the environment of your home and homeschooling and motherhood, and just kind of keeping those things in order?
The flow state is what I try to achieve. Um, not having their school stuff, the biggest thing for me, the biggest change I made when I had 3 of them home. So that's when it really needs to be. Right now I just have 1 homeschooling, but 3 was like how, there's just piles of school books, right? We all get excited. We want to buy the cool workbooks and the different curriculums, but how am I going to best use this instead of it just piling up on a table or in a bookshelf? And so One of the things I really loved that I did was each kid had a basket. You know, they had their own set of their what worked for them at their age. My kids are now for me, my kids are 5 years apart in succession. So that was a little easier, but you can have some where they're mixed age and it's a basket of contained like this is for this child, this is for this. They all had their own sets of, materials and stuff, which really helped instead of just like stuff everywhere. But yeah, having that focus, not just curriculum everywhere. And I was really conscious about what I bought. So I didn't buy a bunch of workbooks. I was very focused on what I wanted them to learn.
I could see where that would be really important, because there's all these exciting things out there,
Hmm.
new books and new curriculum and all these things out there with the, shiny bells and whistles and this is so great,
Yes.
this is so great. And you get all this stuff, but then making meaningful use of it can be difficult. And it can become even more difficult whenever your home is disorganized and it's kind of all disheveled. So from your experience, and we've already talked about this just very briefly, but from your experience, how does a messy home or a disorganized home environment, how does that actually contribute to stress, to overwhelm, to decision fatigue, especially for homeschool moms who are, trying to live and teach and work all in the same space?
Yes. I mean, there's that statistic that I'm sure people have heard that women, especially for women, because we're home typically the ones that are home doing that homemaking, stuff and homeschooling, the cortisol levels. So your cortisol levels will spike if you're living in a cluttered environment and it's something that maybe people don't connect, right? So they don't really see they don't really know or understand, oh, these piles here, they're actually spiking your cortisol and activating your stress response. So every time you walk past it, there's that spike, which then leads to other unpleasant health stuff. Um, Blood pressure can go up. So it's very important to have those, I like to say your clutter is decisions not made, like unmade decisions, right? Like you haven't made, those are just a bunch of decisions that you didn't make. And that's how your brain sees it, right? It's like, oh, you need to make that. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. You need to do, even if you aren't like consciously thinking that, it's there and you walk past it and there it is and it's just constant, so that cortisol is just constantly going up. So for women it's especially important. The study that they did, it doesn't affect men as much. It still does. I mean, men are still affected by it. Like, it's just clutter is clutter, but women tend to, it does. And I can speak from experience because my husband can, I don't, maybe he can walk past it and doesn't bother him. I can tell. And I'm like, this has got to be cleaned up. Like, this is affecting me and how I function and how I'm present with my children, with homeschooling. You can't be fully present if you've got all these unmade decisions around you, right?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And I love how you tied in the pile to the stress response because it literally does activate it. And if you don't believe that's true, then whatever the room is or area is of your house, and your house that you need to deal with, walk past that room and see how your body reacts. You're going to sigh. You're going to take a breath. You might, notice that you avert your eyes, but your body
Yes.
knows that those are decisions that you haven't yet made. Those are things that you haven't dealt with, whatever that case might be. And I also do acknowledge that it is not that it doesn't affect men because it definitely
It
does affect
does.
them as well, but it does seem to impact women so much more. And I think part of it is because men have this superpower to ignore stuff and to
Mm-hmm.
just I'm an expert at ignoring things. You just ask my family, they can tell you like, "Oh yeah, yeah, he doesn't listen to me all the time." I'm really good at that. So I feel like men have this superpower to ignore things and just turn it off, whether that's a sound or clutter or whatever. But women, they're so much more detail oriented, and many of them, and they're really good at noticing the small things, and so it affects them more. So I think it's such a powerful and overlooked literally and figuratively aspect of our health is this clutter and
Yes.
dealing with it. Do you tend to see a spike in overwhelm and burnout after the holidays? And why do you think this season in particular can amplify chaos in the home?
Yes, for sure. Well, I think we're consuming, right? I mean, that's what Christmas is about. It's the fun of it. And for me too, you love to buy the gifts for the kids. It's like the biggest joy, in Christmas. So, a trick that I've always done, something I've always tried to do, is right before Christmas happens. So, like November or whenever you can fit it in, go through your kids' stuff and go ahead, and this is a great time to get rid of some of the stuff they don't need. That way, as you're bringing more in, you don't feel that it's not as overwhelming, right? Because you've made the space for it. You've created that, like, okay, we have space. My kid, because the kids are changing year to year, right? So they are going to outgrow some things, and there will be things they're not really interested in anymore, and you can let it go. And then it gives you that freedom, that almost calm space to be like, I can enrich my kid with this new thing because it won't be as overwhelming because we've shifted into something different. So that's something I really like to do. It brings me a lot of peace. November is like my kids know mom's coming. Been 22 years of doing this. We got to clear some of the stuff out so we can make room for the new because you're not using all of it. Kids, we all change and shift in a year's time.
Absolutely. This is one area that I'm actually really glad that my wife noticed early on. When our kids are small, they're cute, and everybody wants to give them
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yes,
Everybody
yes.
wants to give them a new toy or a little thing, and it's great,
Huh.
and I understand that. But then you gotta find a place for it, for this new thing, and it's overwhelming, all the little things
Mhm.
that people give to your kids, and my wife had heard someone, I don't recall who it was, I wish I could give them credit, but, say, "Well, if your kid gets 5 new toys, then get rid of 5 old
Yep.
toys and make it a fun thing for them, like, 'Hey, we're gonna, find somebody that really wants to play with these things and
Yes.
involve them, and, so she's been doing that for years, and it does make a difference, and then this year, I did it personally, just went through my closet
Mhm.
and, got rid of things, and I felt better. I literally felt better from, getting rid of stuff, because it was something that was on my mind, I knew I should do it, I just hadn't done it, so I think it can be really powerful. So jumping into like what you do, you work with people on organizing their home and helping
Yes.
them develop systems to keep things organized and clutter free. What are some changes that you've seen or transformations that you've seen with your clients like once they actually get organized? I don't know if they could be emotional changes or mental changes or even physical health changes. Have you noticed anything like that?
Well, I definitely notice, I mean, it's you watch a client as you clear space out, you can almost see their body becoming lighter. I know that sounds but there's less stress, they're relaxing more, they're more excited. They're excited. They can see the progress being made, and it's really fun. And, you know, um I love hearing, "Oh, I've been looking for that for so long." Like, I hear it multiple times in one session of getting some one room. "Oh, I've been needing to find that." So, I think that creates less stress. 'Cause now they have that thing that they've really needed, and now, and so it shows them the importance of putting it where it goes and just but yeah, I mean, um, it also gives you the space to focus on your health. If you have a health issue, which I have clients that do, and it gives them that clears that space out, literally, and to be able to focus on their health. Because if it's hard when your health is in a challenging space and you've got clutter on top of it, it's very hard. And some people don't even recognize that. It's totally normal not to not see that connection because you just wouldn't think it would be. But it's so important to clear your space out so you have a clear mind to really focus on yourself. Uh, which leads me into with women, expect all people, but focusing when you first start decluttering, go to your space first. I mean, you can any space you want, but I highly suggest spending some time cleaning your nightstand out. getting rid of those clothes because that just kind of it gets you in a really you're more focused and ready to tackle the other bigger areas of your home. You're in a better mental state to do it.
Yeah, that's great advice, and that was exactly what I was going to go to
Mhm.
next. So, it can be overwhelming when you think about, "Oh my goodness, we've got all these drawers in the kitchen that are just about to explode. In the living room, we've got, piles of stuff by the door that just seem to always be there, and in the bedroom, I've got these areas in my closet and the bathroom, and it just seems overwhelming, and I feel like it can be paralyzing for so many to even take that first step just because it feels like there's so many things and so many um, obstacles in the way, and there's so much to
Yes.
do that you almost can't even start. So, what are the biggest mindset barriers or mindset obstacles that you feel like keep women stuck? And then how do you help them break through that first layer of the mental overwhelm of dealing with the clutter? When your drainage system backs up, your body cannot eliminate waste effectively, and that leaves you vulnerable to chronic inflammation and illness. Bowel Mover supports healthy elimination at the colon, keeping your drainage funnel flowing. Find it at discoverhealth.gethealthy.store. High quality supplements for real healing. And don't forget to use code FIRST10 for 10% off your first order.
Yes, definitely. Definitely can be overwhelming. That's totally normal. Recognizing that's a normal thing, right? Like it's normal to be overwhelmed by that. It's not something you shouldn't feel. It's just a natural emotion. And so first and foremost do that. But I like to teach people to do some grounding, even if you just take a minute before you start something and just take 5 deep breaths and really center yourself and think, get clear about what you want. Then if you need to, set a timer. Just do 5 minutes, right? Like that's anybody can take 5 minutes and believe it or not, 5 minutes is a you can get a lot done in that 5 even and then you can just add time on to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And before you know it, you've done an hour of work in a week and that's a big difference, but I definitely suggest for women specifically to start in your room. Start with yourself. Make that your main because I can almost guarantee there's less to declutter than your children's room or your kitchen. So it'll be a nice jumping point and then just clear off your space. Do that for yourself. And then you're going to feel more centered and ready to help your family and be able to go and do those things for your children because it's going to be a bigger job. But you got this and just take those deep breaths, center yourself, take a minute and do that self talk. You've got this. And then just set a timer so you don't feel like, oh, how long am I going to be doing this? Right. And as you do it, it gets contagious. I promise you. You start doing it and you're like, this feels so good. So then you're like, this doesn't feel as hard as I thought it would. Right. So you start out small, then you just build and it naturally happens. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea of starting small. Setting a timer, literally setting a
Just
timer
set a timer.
or even 5 minutes, and I totally agree. 5 minutes, you can actually get some meaningful things done in only 5 minutes, just focusing. And I also love the idea that you pointed out of start in your area, in your zone, in your space first. It's almost like the idea on the airplane, before you help
Mhm.
someone else put on an oxygen mask, put on yours first, make sure you don't pass out, and then you can
Right.
help others put on theirs, because if you're
Yes.
trying to put on theirs and you don't have yours on and you pass out, you're not helping
Yeah, there's
anyone.
not you're not helping anybody. Yeah.
And it also goes back to the saying that I've been using more and more lately, which is you can't pour from an empty cup. And so,
Yes.
taking that time to help yourself, your area, feel good about yourself and your situation, and then you can see clearly to help someone else. I think those are such good pieces of advice. If a mom is listening right now and they're feeling ashamed or they're feeling discouraged by the state of their home, what's the first gentle step that they can take that you think would be good for that person that just has that shame or the guilt?
Yeah. Again, like just recognizing that that's an okay feeling to have, right? Like don't it's normal, right? It's an overwhelming spot to be in, but just take a minute for yourself. Again, just go to yourself, take care of yourself, pour into yourself more. Do go for that walk even. Go for that walk, clear your head. And then once you can get to a good space with it, I like to go room to room with a pad of paper, right? And so you just walk from room to room and say, how do I want this room to feel? What is this space going to be used for? What do I want happening in this room? And so when you know how you want to use a space, you can organize it and clear it out a lot quicker. And so a and then you can say, "I wanna get rid of this is an extra bookshelf, I don't need this in here." You just make those little notes, like, "This is probably not needed, and I don't like the way this flows," or whatever. So it's like, you go through that, and then once you have that basis, then you can add in more tools for organizing new you don't wanna you can spend very little or can spend a lot, right? You can go to a thrift store, you can get more. So, there's various things, but there's great organizing tools out there too, but I'd say go take that walk, get your head cleared. It's going to be all right. Then go room to room with that pad of paper and just say, this is what I envision for my home. This is what I want to see. And once you get it on paper or your phone, however people, are comfortable making notes, and then you can go from there, one step at a time.
A thing that you said that I don't want to just gloss over, and
Mhm.
because I think it's so powerful. You said go room to room and decide how you want that room to feel, or essentially decide how you want to feel when you come into that room. Because I think that we get, um, I think that we can get paralyzed by trying to decide, how the thing should look. And oftentimes we're thinking about other people and we're thinking about what their reactions are going to be when they come into your home and all of that. And we get
Mhm.
overwhelmed by trying to please other people. But when
Yes,
you brought it back to the idea of how do you want this room to feel, I think it's such a different question and it can bring about different answers because it's not about other people. It is. I mean, we want to be good hosts and be welcoming and all of the things, but if you feel peace and comfort in that room, then chances are other people are going to experience some of that as well. Maybe if it's not their
definitely.
exact style, whatever, but I think it's going to do that for others as well. Why do you feel like it's so important that we try to establish a desired feeling for a particular space or a particular room?
Well, I mean, that goes back to just creating more, peace and space in your day. And so if you have that, your life opens up better, right? You have more space for creativity and more space to be creative in your homeschooling or be creative in a business endeavor. And if you have spaces that foster that feeling, then that's where you live from, right? You live from that space because that's what you've created for yourself. So it's very important.
I agree. I think it's so important. And like just thinking about homeschooling, for example, if that room is cluttered, if that room is disorganized, then your feelings there are probably going to be overwhelmed. It could be shame. It could be like, oh, why haven't I done this already? It could be feelings of, man, I don't have time to, do this because I should be working on all
Mhm.
these things. What's the quality
Mhm.
of education going to be in a room where you're having those thoughts
Exactly.
and those feelings? And so changing the thoughts and feelings that you have in a room can really improve its function, which is amazing to think
Yes.
about. It's not just about the practicality, it's about what's going on inside your mind while you're in that room too. So I know that you said the first place to start, especially for women, is your zone, your space.
Mhm.
So moving outside of that, what are the next most powerful places for a mom to start when her house is feeling out of control?
I would suggest the kitchen because, again, that falls into if you wanna make these healthy meals for your family, but if you've got, 3 of one thing, you only use 1 of it, right? What happens is you just end up your brain just kinda shuts down. You don't the creativity, the flow stops, and you're not able to like, "Oh, I wanna make this beautiful meal." Then you see all that stuff in there and you're like, probably not today." Like, maybe not right now. That's a lot for me to have to process because it's your brain saying all this extra, it gets in the way. And so I would say the kitchen is probably the best spot to start and just really get rid of the excess stuff you use. You'd be surprised at how much stuff is in your kitchen. And even, even for me who I organize often, I go through my stuff all the time. This is something you do continuously. It's never like, "Oh, I'm organized. I can stop, because we all accumulate stuff. I wish it was like that. It'd be nice if you could just be like, we're done. We never have to do it again. But you will accumulate and you'll be surprised what adds up and that is getting in your way to doing what you want to achieve, which is healthy meals for your family. But there's stuff in the way. You can't get to it. Your brain will stop you. It will. It'll make the
Yeah, I
excuse.
agree. Have done a previous podcast episode on, the health of your home, basically. And I brought up the idea of quote unquote entropy. And it doesn't apply perfectly, but it's essentially this idea that, when you have these disorganized systems, it requires so much more energy to just keep it going. But whenever you have an organized and efficient, space, then it's not an energy suck or an energy drain. What are some systems or routines that you feel like moms could put in place to prevent that entropy from creeping in once they finally do get an area organized?
It's a really good question because that is important, something to recognize and remember. I think you can think, "Oh, you just do it and it's done," but it's not. Like, it's a process you will do forever to maintain a healthy level, but it gets quicker, right? So, once you get that baseline, you really do that deep clean. You get in there, you do the hard work, you put in those days, weeks, throughout the year of really getting to your baseline. It's just a something I love that I actually thought of, and I didn't even realize I did, and I was thinking about this last night as preparing to be here. And I do this thing where it's a seasonal rhythm. So take advantage of when the seasons change and you have that energy. So let's say New Year's, right? We all want to clean, we all want to organize. So take advantage of that energy because it's there. It's collectively there, and use that time of year. This is the maintenance time what I'm talking about, when you get to your space. And even not, I mean, use that to propel you to do that. And then spring, it's a time for a fresh start, right? We all feel like, oh, use that fresh energy to give you to give you that movement to let's use that time to clean out. And then summer, a lot of kids come home where homeschooling is, a little less. You want to spend that time with your family, right? You want to really get quality time with them. So it gives you that motivation to clear out and be ready for that summertime fun. It's just that. And then we talked about this already, but November, the Christmas time, consumption or newness, there's another energy of cleaning out then. So there's really like, I was noticing quarterly times that I feel these energy shifts. And if you tap into them, you use them, that's your time to quarterly get there and get your house in order, keep it in order.
Yeah, almost like energy springboards to help you
I
shift
know,
into
I
these.
just thought of it. I was like, because I noticed I do that, and I was like, "Oh, wow, that's kinda cool," It's like a take advantage of that energy. We all need, I mean, a little support, right? Take where we
Yeah,
can get it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know personally when I'm doing something that I really don't like to do, like organizing is number one, I always feel better knowing that someone else is suffering with me. And so I will usually bring a child or something like, hey,
Yeah,
I
come
gotta
help.
clean out my truck. Why don't you help me? And of course they love that
Mhm.
too. They
Yeah.
enjoy the suffering together. But
Yes.
have you found any ways to get kids involved and encourage them in this mindset of organizing and decluttering the house?
Yes, I mean, there's been e each kid is different, right? So you're gonna find that some kids naturally like it, they enjoy it. I have a child who loves it. She gets excited, she enjoys the process with me. I have a child who's a little more sentimental, kind of attached to some things. So you find each kid's gonna have their little spot. So you do things like, "Here's a box. What's really important to you?" Like a little memory box. So that keeps it organized so there's not just memories scattered all over his or her room. You know what I mean? So you have that box that says, let's put all the things that are really important to you. And then I just try to show my kids that how do you feel now that you have less? What is that? You show them those feelings, teach them like, do you notice that it's a little bit easier to get to your toys, right? Or, so you just kind of teach them the fundamentals of it and really the feeling of it. And then just, I won't, I won't lie and say that I haven't bribed. I have my one child who's very sentimental. There's been like, well, we can sell this toy because he doesn't, there is toys they don't play with and they just want to hold on to. And I understand there's certain things we have kept for him in the attic, but there's some that I know that aren't really. He's just got that attachment. So I'm like, think about it. If you sell this, you can have the money to buy something you really would like to use right now. So there's all those little like, and again, it's kid to kid, and you find your ways to work with each child. And um, but yeah, those are the ways I do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think kids all have their own personality, their own quirks,
Yes,
and some, like you said, are just naturally gifted at wanting
they
to
enjoy it.
organize and clean, and then
Hmm.
others are. I like how you gently put it, more sentimental. I think I would fall into that category a lot. So I'm so
Yes,
thankful for my wife to help balance me out when it comes to things like
yes,
that.
yes.
Um, I've I've improved a lot, but I could still improve a lot more, and so I'm very thankful for her being patient with me. Um, so I want to try to like go back through and see if I've learned anything here, and you can
Yeah.
kind of stop me if I'm getting things wrong. But it sounds like a great place to start for people is getting a notepad or some way to write things down and going through your home area by area and first deciding how do you want that space to feel, or how do you want to feel in that space, and then deciding, okay, what are things that I need to change in this space to help me feel that way, or to have the thoughts
Hmm.
that will help me feel that way. And then you recommend starting with your own space first. And then once you've gone there, the kitchen seems to be like a high impact zone, right?
I think so.
Focusing on the
Hmm.
kitchen. And then it sounds like once you get things clean and organized and decluttered, developing a system is great to help keep it that way. And whether that system is just something you do quarterly, you take advantage of those, energy momentum shifts to springboard your way into doing that, or just put things on the calendar.
Yeah.
Um, are there any steps I'm missing, or is there something there that I'm missing?
Oh, I think that's great, and just little things like, let's say you want to read to your child every night before bed. Think to yourself, how can I organize the space to make sure that happens? Right. So find those things that are really important to you. That's something that I've done. And like, oh, I want, so however that would look for you, putting books, neatly next to the bed or what, I'm just thinking in terms of organizing to where the space is used how you want it to be. And you get the best, most out of it. You feel most fulfilled from that space because it's set up to function how you want it to function. And it works.
Yeah. So, if we were just going to build like a really simple action plan together for my listeners, something that they could start even today, what are the key steps in order from start to finish?
I would the main thing I want people when they start out, because I can see this with my clients, is there's a lot of course, overwhelm, and they're just like, how are we even going to tackle this? And so, just almost like tunnel vision, look at that one countertop, that one table. Just don't even like think about and clear off that one, because I'm telling you, that one table, and then all of a sudden it's less it just becomes less and less overwhelming. You get that one spot to focus on, and then you can create space to bring out more it's just a great sort of domino effect. If you just focus on that one spot and then that next spot. And again, use that timer. Use those timers. It'll help you if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're like, so then your mind knows I only have to do this for 5 minutes, right? And it's okay to stop because you did something. You made progress. You took action, and that's what you want to feel. You want to feel like you've taken that action. And even that little bit of time is still action. It counts, and it builds over time every day, just getting that routine down. So, yeah, I think just starting in your own space, keep it's small depending on your comfortability with organizing and decluttering. Keep it small. Focus on that one spot and don't allow, just keep your focus going and know that you can do it. You got this.
I literally feel encouraged to go do some stuff in my
Good.
house.
I love
Maybe tomorrow. Maybe
organizing.
I'll do it tomorrow, okay?
Yeah,
Not today.
yeah.
Probably tomorrow.
Soon.
Uh, but I do feel encouraged with new
Good.
energy, just, having a fresh thought process about organizing and how it's impacting my physical health. It's literally adding stress
Yes.
hormones that I don't need any more of, right now.
Right?
I feel like energized to do some things here. If somebody wanted your help with organizing their home, how could they get more information and how could they contact you to have you help them with home organization?
Yes, yes, for sure. Instagram is a great spot to start. Blossom Yoga and Wellness. I'm sure you can add that into
I'll put the
the
links in
notes.
the description. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that would be a great way to contact me. Easy, quick way to get a hold of me is through there. It's a there'll be lots of tips coming forth on there and lots of good ideas and somebody locally. If anybody local where I am wants my help, I'd be happy to come in and help them because it does help. Sometimes it does. I have clients who are like, I need somebody who a new set of eyes, right? And if it's to a point where it's just you need some support, and that's totally normal and that's great, and you should ask for it. Yeah. You should ask for that
Absolutely.
support because it's invaluable for you if it's going to get you to a better, healthier place. Because again, like you said, it's physical health as well. And it gives you that space to work on yourself, to be that creative flow state, to be in that space to and also one point I wanna make is there's so much stuff you can have that you don't even use the stuff you want to use, right? Because there's so much other stuff blocking that. And so even like board games is something as simple as that. Maybe you wanna play board games with your family more, but there's so many of somehow you guys have you've accumulated so many that you almost open the closet and you're like, you don't even wanna look at it, but you want to, right? It's just that weird so it's just clearing out what you don't use so you can use what you want.
I think that's a great way to put it. If Where are you located at? And where would you work with people in their own home? What area?
I'm in the Austin area, so anywhere around
Austin,
Austin
Texas
within
area?
yes, sorry,
Yeah.
Austin, Texas, yes. Anywhere in the, 30 miles, 45 miles outside of Austin is kinda what I do.
Okay, great. I'll put links for Mandy's business and coaching in the description of this video and also below this podcast episode for anyone that wants to check out her Instagram and hear more tips and tricks about organizing your home and other health related matters. Mandy, thank you so much for joining us today and thank you for your insight. Is there any parting wisdom that you want to leave the listeners with?
I think just you've got this, just use those seasons, use that energy and just one small step at a time. You can do it. Reach out for help if you need it, for
Awesome.
support.
Thank, Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Discover Health podcast. Remember, your health is a journey, not a destination. Keep exploring, and we'll see you next week.